Number 8, João Gomez. Number 9, Jürgen Strand-Larsen. Number 11, Wang Yi-chan. Number 12, Emmanuel Agbadou. Number 19, Rodrigo Gomez. And number 29, Gonzalo Guedes. Substitutes tonight for Wolverhampton Wanderers: number 31, Sam Johnston; number 10, Matheus Cunha; number 15, Craig Dawson; number 20, Tommy Doyle; number 21, Pablo Sarabia; number 22, Nelson Semedo; number 26, Carlos Forbes; number 27, John Rickman Bellegarde; and number 37, Pedro Lima. Now let's hear it for Newcastle United. Number 1, Martin Dubravka. Number 4, Sven Botman. Number 7, Joe Linton. Number 8, Sandro Tonali. Number 10, Anthony Gordon. Number 14, Alexander Isak. Number 20, Lewis Hall. Number 21, Tino Livramento. Number 23, Jacob Murphy. Number 33, Dan Burn. And your captain, number 39, it's Bruno. Substitutes for Newcastle United tonight: number 19, Odysseas; number 2, Kieran Trippier; number 17, Emil Kraft; number 18, William Azula; number 24, Miggy Almiron; number 25, Lloyd Kelly; number 28, Joe Willock; number 36, Sean Longstaff; and number 67, Lewis Miley. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! I'm moving in the station. To go through that one. You know the left hand. The bottom and the back seat.
Good evening and welcome to a mild and very noisy St James's Park as we look around all four corners of this famous stadium. Black and white flags are being swung proudly in the air. We are just less than 5 minutes away from commentary which impacts both ends of the table. Newcastle United on a run of 5 straight Premier League wins Form which, if they continue here tonight, will move them into the top 4. They welcome the visitors, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Goal difference currently keeping them out of the bottom 3, but they are improving under new head coach Vitor Pereira. I'm Tom Gale, alongside the former Premier League and Wales international midfielder Dave Edwards for full commentary of Newcastle against Wolves across the BBC Sport website and app. Dave, we have a near perfect view. We're just 10 rows back from the stadium. Big game, big ramifications, but would you agree Newcastle heavy favourites here today?
They certainly are. They're in fantastic form, Newcastle, trying to make it 9 wins on the bounce in all competitions, and it's the perfect night for football here. The atmosphere is incredible in the build-up to kick off. You can see the optimism from these Newcastle fans, but there has been an upturn in form from Wolves as well since Vitor Pereira's come in. They'll be quietly confident they can come here and cause an upset, but it'd be a daunting task.
Away the lads, the Toon Army, that's what reads on the big screen. Newcastle, as Dave's rightfully pointed out, in superb form across all competitions as well. 1 foot potentially already in the League Cup final. I'm sure Arsenal have plenty to say about that, with a return leg to come next month. But right now, after a weekend of FA Cup, both of these sides can point their noses back in the direction of the bread and butter, the domestic Premier League, and it's a busy night across the BBC Sport website and app. Please do stick with us, myself and Dave, for commentary of Newcastle against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but you do have your choice of listening. All of the fixtures which are currently taking place on this Wednesday evening are live and available, and the change in noise will tell you that both sets of sides have made their way from out underneath us here in the main stands and onto the turf. Newcastle United in their burgundy training top, and Wolverhampton Wanderers all in gold. A few smatterings of gloves. It is relatively mild conditions, but of course it is England in January, and we are all set for what hopefully is going to be an enthralling listen. Team news, if you haven't already digested it via the BBC Sport website and app. The headlines: Newcastle, they make just the one change from their 2-0 win at Arsenal last week in the League Cup semi-final. That's captain Bruno Guimaraes. He was suspended for that game at the Emirates. He comes in to replace Joe Willock. Alexander Isak is fit to start. He wasn't in the matchday squad for the weekend's win over Bromley in the FA Cup. Precautionary, according to Eddie Howe. The Swede, who has scored in his last 7 consecutive Premier League games, is going to be the main man for Newcastle's attack this evening. As for Wolves, 2 changes to the Premier League defeat, which sees Wolves' new signing Emmanuel Egdebu come in to make his top-flight debut here in England, plus Andre, who had returned back to Brazil for the birth of his son. He's back in the Premier League lineup. Matheus Cunha, he has served a 2-match suspension but returns only on the bench. And your thoughts on that, Dave? Matheus Cunha, obviously, I know there was talk of a hamstring injury, but how much of a blow is that for Wolves that he's not fully fit to start?
It is a blow. He is Wolves' talisman. He's the one who can make things happen, and they do miss him when they don't play, because Wolves can be very solid, and when they release on a counter-attack, he is pivotal to how quickly they can do that, and the creativity needed for that final pass or the final finish, which he often delivers. He's scoring goals, he's created, but Newcastle will still be worried that he is on the bench of Wolves going into that last half an hour of the game. I'm sure we'll see Matheus Cunha be introduced to the match, and when those big spaces start to appear, he is the man that you want on the ball from a Wolves persuasion. But they have Gonzalo Guedes in fine form, who will look to take up that role today.
So both captains are in the centre circle. Bruno Guimaraes disappears, heads back to his team huddle. Likewise, Matt Doherty. I'm sure fans of Wolverhampton Wanderers will not like me reminding them this has not been a good stomping ground in the Premier League. And the context of the fact that only Brighton and West Ham have come here so far this season and headed back home with maximum points. We are less than 60 seconds away. Wolverhampton Wanderers will be kicking us off, all in gold. Newcastle, black and white shirts, black socks. So black shorts and black and white socks, and it's the visitors who will be kicking towards the famous Gallowgate ends. Referee Darren England is just ensuring that everyone is happy, and it's Guedes stood over the ball for Wolverhampton Wanderers, who's about to get us underway. Remember, choice of listening: Everton, Villa, Leicester, Crystal Palace, or don't go anywhere. Stay right here with us for Newcastle against Wolverhampton Wanderers. The referee appears poised, certainly everyone in the stadium, and it's good to see a very healthy away support as we look over to our far left. Up in the Leazy's end, a number of Wolverhampton Wanderers fans have made the journey from the West Midlands or wherever it is that they come from, and we are underway. This is Premier League action under the lights. Newcastle United looking to complete the league double over Wolverhampton Wanderers for the first time in almost 120 years. Wolves looking to change unwanted history here. One win at St James's Park in their 9 Premier League visits. The teams to give you: Newcastle, they're playing 4-3-3. It's birthday boy, 36 today, Martin Dubravka in goal. Back 4, Livramento, Byrne, Botman and Hall. Midfield, Guimaraes, Tonali and Joe Linton. Front 3 of Murphy, Isak and Gordon. As for Wolves, they are 3-4-3. Sarr in goal. Back 3 right to left: Doherty, Agbadou, Bueno. Midfield, Rodrigo Gomez, Andre, João Gomez, Aït-Nouri, and the front 3 of Guedes, Strand Larsen and Hwang. It's with Dubravka, who cushions it out to the right hand side of his box to Livramento. Tonali's in there to take the easy ball. The Italian away from João Gomez. Space in the centre of the park for Joe Linton. The roar will tell you that Newcastle United are coming forward. On the left hand side, Anthony Gordon has Lewis Hall as an option. He comes in field to Isak. Cute little flick, which Andre read well, and the assistant's flag over the far side has been raised for offsides. And that's the sign, Dave, from Newcastle right from the get-go. Just 1 or 2 passes and they're straight into that Wolves 18-yard box. Yeah,
it's been a very assured start from Wolves. They've kept the ball really well, but the first time Newcastle build out from the back, Sandro Tonali gets on the ball and João Gomez releases himself from the Wolves midfield to press. But Newcastle had 3 in there against Wolves' 2. They find the overload, they find Joe Linton. We know how quickly he can travel the ball, and it just set him up a chance. But thankfully for Wolves' persuasion, it was offside, but a good start from both teams.
Wolves free kick, which makes its way all the way through to Lewis Hall in left back position for Newcastle. Rodrigo Gomez pings it into Guedes, and here's Wolves midway into the opposition half. Andre, lots of underlayers, base layers and gloves amongst the Wolves outfit, and here's a first Premier League touch of the ball for Agbadou, brought in from the French top flight, made his debut against Bristol City at the weekend. Spoke about his dream to play in the Premier League. Well, it's very much a reality now. Doherty looking to switch play to Aït-Nouri. Ball doesn't beat Livramento. He stretches to head it clear, but it has now with Aït-Nouri. 1-on-1 against Murphy. Aït-Nouri regains his footing, still in possession, wide left for Wolverhampton Wanderers. 3 minutes gone, 0-0. Ball in, Hall clears first time, only as far as Andre. Good spell here for Wolves. Crowd don't like it. João Gomez rides a couple of challenges, comes all the way back to Doherty, more near the halfway line. It's now over the right hand side. Rodrigo Gomez loses his footing, and Gordon nips in ahead of Andre, has his ankle tapped, clear. Newcastle United free kick.
Yeah, Newcastle just allowing Wolves to keep the ball. They're happy to sit in their shape, Newcastle, staying compact, not pressing high up the pitch whatsoever, but as soon as they win the ball back, they try to attack quickly, try to attack the spaces. And already Andre's had to make a foul on Gordon. Bring him down, does well not to actually get a booking for it so early on in the game.
So that's the voice of Dave Edwards, Premier League and Wales international midfielder alongside me, Tom Gale, and the Wolves press is working really well. They've won the ball back from the free kick. It's now wide right with Rodrigo Gomez. Tonali looks to close him down. Ball in, air shot by Guedes, falls to hang. Hwang, edge of the box. João Gomez thought about the strike. 20 yards out, goes across the 18-yard box. It's pulled back to Doherty. Rodrigo Gomez comes inside on his left foot, sends the ball in. Hwang flicks it on. Aït-Nouri will keep that willy. He gets there ahead of Livramento, and it's going to be a Wolves throw over the far side.
Yeah, good moment for Wolves. It's Rodrigo Gomez on this right hand side, nearest us, crosses the ball and it falls perfectly into the path of Guedes, but an air shot and the chance goes missing.
Wolves switch flanks. It's now once again on the right hand side. Rodrigo Gomez into Guedes, needs help, he's heading towards the corner flag, gets it from Doherty. All of the Wolves outfield players in the opposition half. Andre, good 35 yards from goal, goes back towards the centre circle to find Agbadou. Has White strapping on his right wrist, and the jeers are he plays it straight into touch. But you mentioned about Wolves showing their offensive threat, Dave, but a really positive spell there for Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, excellent. They're very accomplished on the ball under Vitor Pereira. That's the way he wants to play. I do think they're more of a counter-attacking team, but the way Newcastle have set up, they're happy to let Wolves have the ball, and they just had a few moments there which they couldn't capitalise on, but good early signs from the away team.
Vitor Pereira's just crouched down in front of us, making a few notes on his pads, straight out of the Eddie Howe school. Seen a few things early on. We have played 5 minutes, still goalless, yet to have an attempt on goal, and it's Newcastle coming forward. Right of centre, is that ball going to fall the way through to Murphy? It is, comes in on his left foot, strikes! And it's palmed away by Sarr. Excellent goalkeeping, palmed it out of danger. Wolves try to clear, but it's back in possession of Newcastle United.
Yeah, good opportunity for Newcastle. Livramento and Murphy linking up well. And Murphy drove inside on his left foot, edge of the box, hits it across Sarr, has to make a really good save down low to his right.
And it's back over that far right hand side with Murphy looking for Isak. Joao Gomez read that situation, he's down by the corner flag and shanks the clearance off the outside of his left boot into touch for a Newcastle throw. So the first save of the night made by Jose Sarr, all in a luminous pink. I think the debate over who's the Wolves number one has been well and truly put to bed. It has been the long-term shot stopper, Jose Sarr. Sam Johnston on the bench here this evening, and it's Dan Burn for Newcastle. Comes to the left-hand side to find Hall. Gordon into Joe Linton, gets it straight back, the England international. Wolves happy to allow Newcastle some space to come forwards. Tonali back to Botman. Sven Botman just making his third appearance as he completes the return from an ACL injury. Newcastle's captain Bruno Guimaraes. Lots of Brazilians in that compact midfield, and here is Guimaraes. Newcastle being forced back all the way to Dubravka, who goes to his right hand side to pick out Botman. Botman head up looking for options, but it's a good defensive shape here from Wolves. And we talked about, Dave, potentially if Newcastle were to get an early goal, we might see the floodgates open. What have you made of how Wolves are defending this situation?
This is more how I expected the game to play, with Newcastle having the possession, which they have done for a good spell now, but Wolves happy to be in that 3-4-3 shape. Try and make Newcastle play in front of them, making the gaps really small so they can't find Isak's feet.
Well, that's what they tried to do, and it was turned over. Anthony Gordon ran into a number of goal bodies there, tried to feed the Swedes, didn't come off. Jose Sarr takes his time, pings a ball out to Aït-Nouri, heads it on towards Hwang, but Livramento's there first. It's back with Wolves' goalkeeper, takes a touch with his right, opts to go long, switch of sides looking for Rodrigo Gomez. Hall wins that header. Joe Linton's there before Guedes. Comes in field, back to Lewis Hall. Joe Linton. Guimaraes. It's now moving over the right hand side for Newcastle United. Livramento doesn't have an option further wide, so comes back in field. Joao Gomez in tight, snapping at the heels of Guimaraes, but Newcastle just pop it around. Botman. Byrne. Patient play here with Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall both on the edge of their technical area watching on. We're in the 9th minute, still goalless. Jacob Murphy, the closest we've come. It's 0-0 between Everton and Aston Villa. Likewise, Leicester and Crystal Palace. Arsenal, Tottenham, North London derby is an 8 p.m. kickoff. All games live on the BBC Sport website. Hall wanting to go direct to Isak, an outstretched long limb of the Swede, couldn't bring it under control, and Wolves will be happy with that, Dave. That's what Newcastle being resort to, is trying to pump it in for him, a difficult ball to bring down.
Yeah, Vitor Pereira will be delighted, and you can really throw a blanket over Wolves as a team when Newcastle have the ball. They're that compact. They won the ball back a second ago, and Larsson had lots of space, and he had the runner in Gedesh running beyond, but Larsson's pass was a little bit short. But those are the moments where Wolves have really got to capitalise. When they win the ball back in that midfield area, can they go quickly while Newcastle are spread out? Otherwise, Newcastle are very good when they get back into that defensive shape.
Hall dwelt on the ball. Rodrigo Gomez was snapping at his feet. It's with Dubravka. Takes a touch. Botman comes over the right hand side. Livramento. It's very tight and compact. Newcastle reluctant to go long. Looking for Gordon, but that's going to be comfortable for Doherty. Wolves back in possession. Bueno. João Gomez checks both shoulders. He's pressed and fouled. Bueno thought about the quick free kick, but opts to take his time. João Gomez takes over and finds Guedes. Tackle from behind by Gordon, and lost his bearings and played it straight back to Newcastle's number 10, who's flying down the left hand side. Andre, eyes on the ball, nice clean tackle. João Gomez into Andre. He's been hunted by Gordon. Dispossessed. Tonali. Wide right is Jacob Murphy. Goes round the outside. Agbadou does well. Puts the cut back in. Andre's there to prevent it reaching anyone in a black and white shirt. Wolves can't find their way clear though. It's back with Tino Livramento.
There's excellent defending by Agbadou on the left hand side of that Wolves defence. He's 1v1 against Jacob Murphy. Forced him wide and the attack fizzled out. That was a good moment for Newcastle.
It all came from Anthony Gordon losing possession, working hard to win it back high up the park. And Newcastle once again looking to Jacob Murphy as the clear option. Joe Linton in the centre of the midfield. Comfortably holds off Guedes. Gordon, Guimaraes, the pace is picking it up here. Looking to slot in Isak. The groans will tell you they didn't quite reach the number 14, and it's now in the hands of Jose Sarr.
Newcastle just starting to get into their rhythm now from an attacking point of view, moving the ball a lot quicker. Joe Linton and his dynamism in midfield is causing Wolves a lot of problems. He's the one who started that last attack. Gordon was involved. He tried to slide it through to Isak. He was on the edge of the Wolverhampton Wanderers box, but it just ran through to Jose Sarr.
Sarr goes long with the ball out of his hands. Dubravka to come and intercept. And it's now in the right back position of Tino Livramento. 11 and a half minutes played. Still goalless, but certainly attacking wise, it's the home team, as we would probably expect, asking the questions. Jacob Murphy with 2 opportunities. The first draw, an excellent save from Jose Sarr. Joe Linton dispossessed by Rodrigo Gomez. Strand Larson plays it back to Andre. Looking over the left hand side for Hwang. Is that overhit? No, the South Korean will keep that in play. Closed down by Tonali, who looked to palm him in the face. Well, the South Korean went down. Referee Darren England saw nothing wrong. Hwang's quickly back to his feet. Isak looking to get in behind, but Agbadou, very imposing figure. He gets there. He's clearly blessed with speed as well as an impressive physique. He's able to cover Alexander Isak.
Yeah, it's one area that Wolves have really lacked, and that's physicality and pace at the back, and Agbadou has both of those in abundance.
Andre, ball over the top. Hwang looking for the cut back to Guedes. He'll get the strike off, and it's just a couple of inches wide of the post. He's claiming it took a few deflections. Well, that's the first big opportunity for Wolves. Hwang got to the byline, cut back to Guedes, shot through traffic just wide of Dubravka's far right hand post.
Yeah, big opportunity for Wolves. It's Hwang who bursts down the left side, gets the better of Tino Livramento. He cuts the ball back and takes a slight deflection as it then rolls into the path of Gedesh. Gets it onto his right foot and hits it across Dubravka, but just wide the post. If he's disappointed he didn't hit the target, it's a big chance for Wolves.
No goals, but lively chances for both teams. Newcastle 0, Wolves 0. Almost played quarter of an hour. Goalless between Everton and Villa. Likewise, Leicester Palace. All these commentaries available for you on the BBC Sport website and app. But stay with us. Myself, Tom Gale and Dave Edwards for Newcastle Wolves. It's Sven Botman for the home team. Tentatively coming towards the halfway line. Goes square to Dan Burn. Gets it back. Wolves being patient with the press, which Newcastle now beat. Joe Linton's the way 180 turn, heading towards the Wolves goal. Goes right to Jacob Murphy's ball across, and Sarr got something on it. It looked destined for a simple tap in for Isak. Wolves survive another scare. The flag has been raised for offside, but Jacob Murphy, that's the connection. Murphy to Isak, but credit to Jose Sarr.
Yeah, the flag's gone up. Jacob Murphy finds himself in the right-hand channel. Flashes a dangerous cross right behind the Wolves backline. Isak just went a moment too early. He's only 6 yards out. Jose Sarr's right on his toes, makes an excellent stop. He would have been offside, Alexander Isak, but it all came from Newcastle having the overload in midfield. João Gomez got attracted to Tonali, left Joe Linton, and then they found him, and once it went to Joe Linton, then all of a sudden Wolves are completely out of their shape.
Well, his man in red hot form, Alexander Isak, 14 goals in his last 15 appearances for Newcastle United, and that was his first big moments of the game. Wouldn't have stood, of course, after a weekend without VAR back in the Premier League. Business, normal service resumed as Agbadou pings out a pass straight into the hands of Eddie Howe. Quick throw for Newcastle. Guimaraes completely misjudged that, and here's Wolves looking to counter. Hwang thought about it and then checks his stride and gives it to Aït-Nouri. Wide left, back to Agbadou. Andre. Murphy looking to press, and it's with Jose Sarr. Stood roll to get it out of his feet. Looking for the ball over the top. Strand Larsen will challenge with Botman. Falls to Hwang, who, not what he intended, but Aït-Nouri will keep that in play. Just shy of the halfway line. Wolverhampton Wanderers certainly on an upwards curve under Vitor Pereira. Disappointment last time out in the league at home against Nottingham Forest, high-flying Nottingham Forest, but certainly in this game here this evening. Rodrigo Gomez battling with Byrne. Strand Larsen, ball flicked up off his hand, referee agrees. It's going to be a Newcastle free kick. Very competitive in that midfield, Dave, which you did mention to myself pre-match that this is potentially where you see this game being decided. Yeah, fascinating battle. Both of the teams have extremely strong midfields. The two Brazilians in there for Wolves, João Gomez and Andre, against the athleticism of Joe Linton and Guimaraes. Jacob Murphy looking for Isak again. The ball bounced as it was crossed in from the right, and Jose Sarr was alert to get there. And a few words between Murphy and Isak. Isak, I think, just saying where he's making that run. But no other Premier League duo have combined more when it comes to assists and goals than Jacob Murphy and Alexander Isak. Here's Lewis Hall making inroads down the left-hand side. Gordon opts to come back. It's now with the centre-half, Sven Botman. No Fabian Schär in the Newcastle lineup here in the Matchday squad even. And they are attacking Tino Livramento. Cut it back blindly straight to João Gomez, and it's a poor attempted ball clear straight to Murphy. Murphy goes past two. Livramento will keep that in. Cut back there, he lost all his momentum. The assistance flag is raised for offside. Bit of frustration for Newcastle, because there's a few times there that they've had a man over on that far side about timing that run, Dave, in behind. Yeah, they're getting a lot of joy down that right hand side. Tino Livramento joining in with Murphy. Both make excellent runs, and they're just causing Ray and Aït-Nouri in particular a lot of problems. But Wolves need to get their press right. They need Strand Larsen or Guedes to be the one who sits on Tonali in the middle of the park, because as soon as a Wolves midfielder, whether it's Andre or João Gomez, as soon as they release, Tonali's so clever that he'll just flip the ball round the corner to the spare midfielder, and that's when Wolves are in trouble and Newcastle at their most dangerous. Sarr's goal kick, headed clear by Byrne, flicked on, and it's now with Anthony Gordon in the centre circle. Bypasses the referee, 3 in gold, and now it's actually Guimaraes who runs into trouble. He wants a free kick, referee says play on. Wolves looking to counter. Aït-Nouri on the left hand side has Hwang as an option. Tonali's the closest defender, retreats and finds Andre. Midway into the Newcastle half, Wolverhampton Wanderers goalless here at St James's Park. Doherty goes over the top looking for Rodrigo Gomez. Hall stood his ground. It makes its way through though to Strand Larsen, who gets to the byline, gets the better of Botman, cuts it back to Guedes, has time to pick out a man, overhits it. Hwang can't keep it in play. Newcastle goal kick. Yeah, really poor from Guedes, because Larsen makes an excellent run into that right hand channel, and he's really strong, manages to hold off Botman, lays it back to Guedes just outside the box on that right hand side for Wolves. He sees an overload at the back post as both Hwang and Ray and Aït-Nouri on Tino Livramento, who tries to drive a ball over to that back post but gets it all wrong, goes out for a goal kick and lets Newcastle off the hook. Well, Newcastle have conceded just one goal in their last 5 Premier League games. That was away at Tottenham, so it is a mean defence, but certainly what we've seen so far from Wolverhampton Wanderers, that they're making their presence known. You see there's still Martin Dubravka in goal. Nick Pope back on the training ground, but clearly not yet match fit, and the January transfer window's open, and there is talk of a Dubravka move to Saudi. Eddie Howe very clear that he wants his current number 1 to stay put. Dan Burn had a little look there, ball bounced up into his midriff and his hand, but referee saw that as unintentional. Joe Linton looking to the left, finds Gordon, has Burn as an option, went for Isak, overhits the pass straight through to Jose Sarr.
Anthony Gordon looks razor sharp in everything that he does, just finds a pocket of space in behind that Wolves midfield, receives an excellent pass from Tonali, then he just tries to play a little clever reverse ball to Isak, overhits the pass, but like I said, Anthony Gordon's a man in form. He's playing some exceptional stuff at the moment, and that sharpness is there for everyone to see.
Yep, the England international, 3 goals and 2 assists in his last 5 appearances for Newcastle United. Like a number in black and white, perhaps a relatively slow start given his extremely high standards to the season, but as we tick past the halfway point, a number of Newcastle players in fine form. But it is a Wolverhampton Wanderers outfit, rejuvenated by another Portuguese head coach, Vitor Pereira. Tasted defeat for the first time against Nottingham Forest, who themselves are flying high, and it's a very tough start to the new year for Wolverhampton Wanderers. They play 7 of the current top 8. Newcastle the latest to pit their wits against, and Anthony Gordon bamboozling the back line, tries the nutmeg, comes off, centre on, Guimaraes tries to use his body, he's dispossessed fairly. Rodrigo Gomez stuck to his task, and Hwang is bringing Wolverhampton Wanderers back up the other end. Livramento slides in, Wolves throw.
Yeah, Anthony Gordon, we said he looked sharp. He really did. Rodrigo Gomez on the touchline nearest us, span away from him, jumped over 3 or 4 challenges, but Rodrigo Gomez stuck at it, got back, won the ball back. He didn't manage to keep it.
Lots of turnovers. It's now Gordon bearing down on goal, left hand side of the penalty area. A few step overs, maybe lost his footing, lost track of the fly to the ball, and Joe Linton claiming corner. Referee says goal kick.
Yeah, Anthony Gordon's eyes must have lit up then. He finds the ball after Wolves had lost it. He's bearing down on the Wolves goal from the left hand side. He's 1v1 against Matt Doherty, who you must say defended it really well. He kept his eye on the ball. A few step overs from Gordon just to try to off balance the Irish defender. Didn't happen. Matt Doherty stood strong, won the ball back, and then inadvertently gets kicked against the Newcastle player and out for a goal kick.
3rd consecutive game that Matt Doherty has the captain's armband. Nelson Semedo back in the squad, but recovering from injury, so only fit enough for the bench. But as Dave's been pointing out there's been some fine defensive displays from Doherty. Vitor Pereira's been speaking in his press conferences about the Irishman. He's a big fan, clearly. Bit part player under Gary O'Neill, but has played every minute under the new head coach. He'll have to be in defensive mode now because Newcastle are coming forward once again. Gordon overhits the pass into Joe Linton. Strand Larsen just shy of the halfway line, plays it unintentionally to Lewis Hall, who does a 180 turn and speeds off in the opposite direction. Needs support, going alone, left hand side of the penalty area, shots blocked, and Strand Larsen keeps it. Needs help though, gets it from Guedes, who goes down to grounds. Nutmeg on Strand Larsen from Gordon. It's Newcastle asking the questions here. Switch to the right hand side of the penalty area. Murphy goes for the shot. Excellent save, Jose Sarr. Isak keeps it in play, left hand side of the 6-yard box. Still Wolves can't clear. Guedes with a chance to put his foot through it, looks to dink it up to Strand Larsen, who can't make it stick, and Tonali picks up the ball.
Terrific attacks from Newcastle. The crowd really getting behind him now.
Murphy, right hand side of the penalty area, 3 gold shirts trying to close him down. Livramento's the outlet, comes infield to Guimaraes. Murphy back to Tonali. Home fans sensing this is their moment here. Aït-Nouri nips in. Newcastle throw over the far side, 10 yards just upwards from the corner flag. Once again, Jose Sarr with another excellent save.
Yeah, did really well. The Portuguese stopper, Newcastle. Every time they win the ball back off Wolves, they look dangerous because Wolves are a little bit spread out and they attack so quickly with the pace they have down the wings. and it was Murphy who gets that rasping right-footed shot away from the corner of the box, but well saved again by Jose Sarr.
He's never kept a clean sheet against Newcastle, Jose Sarr, and he's by far the busier of the two keepers. Joe Linton, 25 yards from goal, battling with Andre, flicks off a few bodies unintentionally. Gordon, he's in! Agbadou with a last-ditch challenge, an excellent one. And can Wolves counter? Guedes in a foot race with Dan Burn. You'd fancy the Wolves man. He's going around the outside. He's slowed up. He stays down. Byrne's back to his feet. Referee says no foul. How did you see that one, Dave?
Looked like a foul from our view. You can see Guedes got the right side of the ball and the man. Byrne brings him down. It's end-to-end stuff.
Ball swung in from Murphy. Header clear only as far as Isak closed down, and Doherty at the second time of asking. Guedes has stayed down inside the Newcastle 18-yard box. The Wolves bench were up on their feet. They felt that was a foul. Obviously we have VAR. Referee Darren England gave it on field as no foul, and he's just awarded Matt Doherty a yellow card for what we assume is his frustrations being vocalised to the referee that was not a free kick.
Yeah, everyone, the Wolves bench is furious with Darren England, Matt Doherty as well, airing his frustration, bookings all around. It came from a big chance for Newcastle, but Wolves managed to win the ball back. They release Guedes on the right hand side. He's 1v1 against Dan Burn. Always going to beat him, gets to the other side of him, and Dan Burn's looked to have bundled the Portuguese winger over. Darren England didn't see it that way.
Well, actually another yellow card. Luis Miguel, the assistant for Wolverhampton Wanderers, he's been yellow carded. Play continues despite Wolverhampton Wanderers' frustrations, and it all stemmed from an excellent defensive clearance from Agbadou, which sent Guedes away down the right hand side, shoulder to shoulder, a bit more than that with Dan Burn. He went down. Wolves wanted free kick. Darren England says play on, and it's Newcastle in possession. 26 minutes played, still goalless, but hopefully you can tell very lively here at St James's Park.
That's a fabulous game of football, it really is. The intensity that the game's played at is fantastic. The crowd are really into it. The atmosphere here at St James's is as good as it always is. And just see Newcastle starting to get their tails up now. They sense that they can get a goal. This is where Wolves need to remain really strong. Agbadou in the back line for Wolves has made some really important challenges already.
Well, it is goalless across all three fixtures currently taking place on the BBC Sport website and app. So 0-0 here, likewise at Goodison, and also at the King Power Stadium. Your choice of commentary, whichever game of the four that take place this evening. Of course, we're just a few minutes away from the North London derby, which will also be available on BBC Sounds and BBC Radio 5 Live. Arsenal hosting Tottenham. But here, right in front of us, Newcastle United again coming forward, left hand side. Hall slipped past one defender but couldn't link up with a teammate. Wolves look to counter, but Dubravka spots that early, races off his line, and it's now back with Lewis Hall right in front of Vitor Pereira. Sandro Tonali's name has been sung from the home supports, and it's Livramento now on the right hand side. Isak coming deep to get involved in the link-up play. Botman, all of Newcastle's outfield players in the opposition half. Lewis Hall just asking for a bit of calm. Lively couple of past minutes, and it's now Newcastle again coming forward asking questions. Joe Linton back to Livramento. Isak tried the flick, didn't come off. Finds Botman. Isak more towards the halfway line than the opposition goal, but the Swede now jogs back towards his focal attack position. It's on the left hand side. Gordon, full of tricks here this evening, goes across field into Livramento, and here's Murphy. Gordon's over the right hand side, so it's just Lewis Hall, the sole occupant on this left flank, and that's where the ball will end up, I'm sure. Dan Burn, no changes his mind. Opposite reverse direction, Botman into Livramento. Almost half an hour played. Who'd be the happier of the two head coaches for you, Dave?
I think both of them will be reasonably happy, but Eddie Howe's Newcastle are definitely starting to.
Gordon, edge of the box, had some whip in that, but it's the back of Bueno that puts it behind for a corner. Continue your point, Dave.
Yeah, Eddie Howe is definitely going to be the one who's feeling the momentum's on their side now. Wolves are going longer spells without the ball. When they win it back, they can't keep their composure to make that first pass stick, and it's going back to Newcastle and they're attacking against. They're really on top at the moment.
First corner of the game coming in the 30th minute. Lewis Hall in front of the Leesy's stand. Left-footed, in-swinger towards the near post. Andre heads it. Guedes had a 1-2 off Guimaraes, but he can't bring Wolves clear. He is fouled. It will be a Wolves free kick in the left-back position.
Yeah, I'm not sure this one was a foul actually. Maybe he's trying to make it up to Guedes. He hasn't really got any options. It's cleared from the corner. Guedes just trying to take it up the pitch. He's surrounded by black and white shirts. It looks like Lewis Hall won the ball. Guedes goes down, grabs his ankle, and Wolves be happy for a little bit of respite now. Wanted to take their time, get a breather, get themselves back into their shape, because it's been relentless for the last 5 minutes.
So just looking through the stats, which you can also access yourself on the BBC Sport website and app. Possession currently 63% in favour of the home sides. We've also had 4 shots to Wolves' 1, and the 2 attempts on target, both from Jacob Murphy. Dan Burn got the ball on the left-hand side of the 6-yard box, plays it out wide left to Hall. Gordon though runs straight into Andre. Doherty into Guedes, tried the cute flick, didn't come off. Gordon, Tonali. Space for Guimaraes, looking for Isak, who has space on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Doherty comes down, beats him, gets the strike off. I don't think Sarr got a touch to that, but Isak is beginning to find his groove. Found a bit of space, attacked Doherty, shot was dragged just wide.
And Newcastle are at their most dangerous when Wolves have the ball, and when Wolves do give it away, it's sloppy play from Guedes on the edge of the Newcastle box. Newcastle win it back and they attack so quickly. It finds its way to Bruno Guimaraes, and then he feeds it into Isak on the edge of the Wolves box, cuts back in on his right foot, and then opts to go to Jose Sarr's near post. Doesn't quite get the connection he likes and drags it just wide of Jose Sarr's right hand post.
Home support are not happy because the goal kick was set, and then Hugo Bueno rolled it across to the other side to Jose Sarr, who of course can pick it up. We have seen many famous examples. Tyrone Mings, of course, in the Champions League, where he picked the ball up himself, and the referee, I think, giving a final warning to Wolves that they can't take that long with goal kicks. The visitors do have the throw, a yard or so shy of the halfway line. Ryan Aït-Nouri inside the final quarter of an hour in the first half. Still 0-0, but only just, it has to be said. Wolves, who've certainly flexed their attacking muscles, but so far indebted to the outstretched arms of Jose Sarr. Dan Burn finds Hall, quickly closed down by Rodrigo Gomez, and Rodrigo Gomez has done his job really well there. Just his mere presence and then support sees Wolves turn the ball over. Plays that blindly though down the line, and Dan Burn comfortably able to intercept. It's now with Botman.
Yeah, Wolves just can't keep the ball. They're winning the ball back in good areas, but they're that tired from chasing it for long spells that they're not making enough angles to receive that pass, and they end up just clearing it long, going back to Newcastle. They recycle it and they start their attacks again.
So that's Dave Edwards, former Premier League midfielder, Wales international, alongside me, Tom Gale. Newcastle 0, Wolves 0, and that's the scoreline across all 4 Premier League games this evening. It's just kicked off the North London derby, Arsenal-Tottenham. That's on BBC Sounds and BBC Radio 5 Live. Agbadou, who's really impressing on his Premier League debut. As Wolves try and clear, but Burns there to intercept. It's back in those colours of black and white. Joe Linton. Gordon, wide left, cutting infield. Can't get the better of Rodrigo Gomez. Guedes with some cute feet. He's now driving Wolves forward over the left-hand side. Hwang has space. He'll be able to run at Livramento here. South Korean receiving the boost, checks inside, comes back to Guedes, but it's a poor ball. And Newcastle win it back through Jacob Murphy. He beats the press, looking to get Anthony Gordon away, who leaves it for Isak. I think Gordon may have been better taking that on. Isak, left wing, picking up speed, the Swede. Wolves are backing off. Edge of the penalty area, sits up nicely, thought about the strike, goes for it, and he deflects in! It's cruel on Wolverhampton Wanderers, but there's just no stopping this man right here, right now, for the 8th consecutive Premier League game. Alexander Isak finds the back of the net. A fair bit of fortune. Sarr was completely wrong-footed. It came off João Gomez. but it is Newcastle 1, Wolves 0.
Well, once again, it comes from Wolves being in possession. They're on the edge of the Newcastle box. Hwang is sloppy in possession, but the pace that Newcastle got back in their shape to win it back, and then the pace they attack, is absolutely incredible. The ball finds its way out to the left-hand side to Isak. He's right on the touchline, drives inside, clever run from Joel Linton, just takes a few Wolves defenders with him. Has a few ricochets, he drifts into the D on the edge of the box, finally bounces up into a good enough position that he can unleash a shot, and it flies off Rain Aït-Nouri, who's trying to cover back across in front of Agbadou. Scoops up in the air. Jose Sarr absolutely no chance. He's wrong-footed, nestles in the bottom left-hand corner. And Newcastle deserve their lead, but Wolves be really disappointed it's come from when they are in possession.
16 and counting for the season, 10 in his last 8 Premier League appearances, and he's swinging his arms up in the air. Not that these home support need much energising. Their main man is once again proving to be a difference maker. Cruel on Wolves, but this is football, and Isak, if you don't shoot, you don't score, and he's punished Wolves emphatically, and they're looking for more here. Murphy switches it to Gordon. Gordon was flat-footed, acknowledges the pass, but he was unable to react quick enough, and it goes out for a Wolves throw in the right-back position. We've got 9 minutes of normal time remaining in the first half.
Yeah, Wolves will need to get themselves to half-time. They'll be happy to get in at half-time at 1-0, because Newcastle have the bit between their teeth. I've been so impressed, not only with their play, but the intensity they work at. The dynamism right throughout this Newcastle team is excellent. And in the lead up to the goal, I could not believe how quickly the flurry of black and white shirts got back into their shape to make sure that Wolves didn't have a chance. They were overtaking Wolves players on the way back, and then once they win the ball back, they are devilish.
Isak once again looking to haunt the Wolves back line. Hall's heavy touch, gifts it to Andre. Strand Larsen doing his bit to hold up play, but he couldn't link up with the runners. Looks to the referee more in hope than actual genuine conviction of getting a foul, and it's Newcastle now beginning to control things. Tonali brings Newcastle over the left-hand side, midway into the Wolves half. Isak now is adopting this wide left position. That's where the goal came from. He ended up striking it from centre on, but he's perching himself on the left-hand side. Doherty finds Rodrigo Gomez, quickly swallowed up by Joe Linton, who thunders into the youngster, makes his presence known, and Rodrigo Gomez is saying to Strand Larsen, you need to get closer to me.
Yeah, so physically imposing, isn't he? Joe Linton covers ground, he's strong in a tackle. And the young Portuguese wing-back Rodrigo Gomez got clattered. Good tackle from Joe Linton. It'll be interesting to see how long, if it's not at half-time, how long into the second half that Vitor Pereira will start to look to Matheus Cunha, because this is a game which is set up for the Brazilian. Wolves haven't been good enough in the transition, they haven't kept the ball, but Matheus Cunha, that's where he comes alive, that's where his quality is. So it wouldn't surprise me if they look to Matheus Cunha sooner rather than later.
It's with Aït-Nouri following a misplaced pass from Joe Linton. Joao Gomez, who was unfortunately the man with the crucial final touch. It will be Alexander Isak's goal. It was on target, but the trajectory completely changed, courtesy of the Brazilian midfielder. The 14th time Wolves have conceded first this season. 1 win and 3 draws. They've lost the remainder. So, as we know with Premier League football, quite often that first goal can be telling, and especially here at home. But if we're being fair, Dave, we've seen, certainly in those turnovers, that Wolves will have opportunities here this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Wolves have got lots of creativity, and especially if Matheus Cunha is introduced to the pitch, and they will get moments as Newcastle press. There's space to attack into, but at the moment Wolves haven't been good enough on the ball.
Andre there with a double nutmeg in the right back position under pressure, and the referee Darren England, after he lost the ball, does actually say, I played the advantage for a previous foul, but that was some audacious skill there from one of the number of Brazilian midfielders, but in particular Andre, who just high-fived the referee there as well. I'm not sure if the referee said anything to him about nice double nutmeg there, mate.
Oh, it's lovely to watch. Full of Brazilians in both teams' midfields, and Say Brazilians are known for their silky skills, but you've got 4 very hard working players in there who do the ugly side of the game so well, but we know they've got that flair as well.
Botman momentarily getting the better of Hwang, and Hwang dwelt on the ball, dispossessed. Guimaraes was fouled, quickly takes the free kick. Livramento's ball in, was aiming for Gordon at the back post, but Sarr was alert, and he looks to restart the counter, looking for Strand Larsen. It's not the best delivery. Strand Larsen cutting a frustrated figure, and it's back going up the other end. The Olays are for Lewis Hall, nicely manoeuvring his way from 2 gold shirts. It's only 1-0, but this is a thoroughly entertaining game here. Newcastle again coming forward. Guimaraes, right hand side of the penalty area, looking to square it to Isak. Deflects off a gold shirt. It's now with Lewis Hall. Isak comes to get involved, gets it back, gives it straight to Hall. Left hand side now Gordon. Rodrigo Gomez backs off. Gordon comes in field, finds Joe Linton back to goal, into Isak, whose control lets him down. Tried to cushion it with the outside of the boot into Gordon, and then ends up fouling Guedes, trying to make amends, and it will be a Wolves free kick in the right back position, which Matt Doherty won't be in a rush to take.
No, absolutely not. The defensive shape of Newcastle, even when they have the ball, is so good. The way Tonali positions himself, the way Botman really goes into the space. They're happy to go 1v1 against Larsen, but it just means that for Wolves, Guedes and Hwang are dropping so deep that when they do win the ball back, they are really limited options. If it does go into Strand Larsen, Dan Burns flying through the back of him. It's been a difficult opening half so far for Wolves.
Certainly for the past 10-15 minutes or so, it does feel as though all those second balls are rolling the way of Newcastle United. Gordon, left hand side, has Hall as an overlap. Cross is deflected by Doherty, only as far as England international Anthony Gordon. 10 on his back. Been a live wire throughout this game. Makes a run off the ball. Hall ignores that. Opts to just keep possession. Tonali. Inside the final 4 minutes plus stoppage time. Isak, his deflected effort. The only goal of the night so far across the Premier League. 0-0 Everton Villa. 0-0 Leicester Palace. 0-0 Arsenal Tottenham. Choice of listening across the BBC Sport website and app. If you're out and about, BBC Sound, you can also listen to Everton Villa and Arsenal Spurs. Right here though, we have Alexander Isak chasing a lost cause, and it's going to go out for a Wolves goal kick.
Yeah, these Newcastle fans are really enjoying what they're seeing. The Wolves have so much quality in their team. We're not quite seeing it at the moment. Started the game extremely well. We're building attacks. Newcastle letting them have the ball. A few opportunities that we didn't take advantage of, but they just need to try and relax their way and navigate their way back into this game with a little bit of control, because at the moment it's a bit too ragged for Vitor Pereira's men.
Jose Sarr's clearance only as far as the halfway line, and Hall slips because Rodrigo Gomez is in. He's put the afterburners on right hand side of the penalty area. Cut back to Strand Larsen. Oh, and he's kissed the post. Wolves still yet to hit the target, but the best opportunity of the game. Excellent determination from Rodrigo Gomez. Cut it back to his striker, and he should be putting that away for me, Dave.
Yeah, well, I said about Wolves having so much quality in the team. We haven't seen it, but we did on this occasion. Rodrigo Gomez flies past Lewis Hall into that right hand channel, cuts a ball back perfectly for Jorgen Strand Larsen, tries to just guide it with his left foot towards the far post, doesn't quite get the connection, it crashes against the post.
Newcastle looking to punish them at the other end. Gordon into the penalty area, survives a few ricochets but not one on Joao Gomez, and he fouled Joao Gomez, and referee Darren England pulls it back to 30 yards out from the Wolves goal for a free kick to the visitors. So encouragement for Vitor Pereira, frustration at the goal, but this is a game that they're in. But it's fair to say, Dave, both sides looking susceptible on the counter.
Yeah, and it's just an early just a sign there from Wolves that will keep Newcastle honest. They know it's not going to all be their own way. A ball over the top and Wolves are in. Didn't take advantage of it, but better moments for Wolves.
Tonali, left hand side, looking for another before the break. Joe Linton, edge of the box, strikes, really puts his foot through it. It was rising all the time, a couple of yards over the crossbar. Doesn't work the goalkeeper, but once again starts on the left, come in field, and it's space for Joe Linton this time.
Yeah, the ball's laid into Joe Linton. He's in the middle of the pitch, 4 or 5 yards outside the box, receives it on his back foot, which is right foot, touches it into his path and unleashes a venomous strike. It's straight at Jose Sa. It's gone over the bar, but straight at him, no direction, but the power's there, but it flew over the bar.
Don't forget, you can take us out and about if you've got a late night dog walk. Take the BBC Sport website and app with you. You can continue coverage of what is Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. We're in the 45th minute. A reminder, match of the day this evening, 10:40. Showing you the best bits of all of Tuesday and Wednesday night's Premier League action. Overhit cross from Jacob Murphy. Isak wants to keep that in play. He will keep that in play. Closed down by Rodrigo Gomez. And Isak, does he win a corner? No. Goal kick.
Yeah, the work rate from Isak is brilliant. The Wolves players look like they'd given up on it, but Isak didn't, kept it in play. Tries a cheeky little chip over Matt Doherty's legs. Matt Doherty doesn't fall for it, goes out for a goal kick, and Wolves can reset. But at 1-0, this game is still in the balance. Wolves have got to have some belief, but it's important they make sure they don't go in at half-time any more than 1-0 down.
They go short with the goal kick. Sarr then looks to loft it into Rodrigo Gomez. His header in field ends up in Newcastle United possession. The only goal in the Premier League this evening is here at St James's Park. Alexander Isak has scored it, and there'll be a minimum of 2 added minutes of stoppage time. Newcastle in possession, looking to keep this as far away from their own goal as possible, and if they can, add another before the break. Vitor Pereira's seen his side score in every game he's took charge for, with the exception of that home defeat against Nottingham Forest, and they did have the chances in that game. The closest so far, Strand Larsen hitting Martin Dubravka's right hand post. Dubravka still yet to make a save here, and it's a Wolves free kick, so it will be a set piece opportunity, which might be not far off the last bit of action here. Not quite midway into the Wolves half, but to the right hand side. João Gomez takes over. Aït-Nouri trots over.
Yeah, Wolves will take their time over this as we go into the last minute of added on time. Aït-Nouri is the one who's going to make it. All the Newcastle players are back behind the ball. Holds in a very high line, a good sort of 30-35 yards outside of Dubravka's goal. Space for Aït-Nouri to deliver into.
It's actually Andre who's come to get involved. Black gloves, 2 arms above his head. Clear signal as regards to what the pre-worked training ground routine will be. High line from Newcastle, 25 yards from goal, looking to slip in. Guedes, Isak's back recovering, made it difficult for the Portuguese, who did get the final touch, but no power in the effort. Comfortable save for Dubravka.
Yeah, well worked, excellent pass by Andre, and it was Guedes who made the clever run, but Isak tracked him the whole way.
At the other end, Jacob Murphy, right hand side. Rodrigo Gomez is back covering. Does really well to slow up Murphy, who turns away from trouble, is fouled, and it'll be a Newcastle free kick wide right of the 18-yard box.
And Newcastle's turn to get a ball into the box as we move into the 3rd minute of added on time in this first half. But once again, Newcastle, as soon as they win the ball back, they attack so quickly. Back to front, down that right hand side, Murphy causing all sorts of problems. Rodrigo Gomez initially does well to hold the winger up, but then a clever little turn, and Rodrigo Gomez gets wrong-footed and brings him down. So a free kick in a very dangerous area.
Well, we played 2.5 minutes of the minimum 2, so we are at the discretion now of referee Darren England. And it's Anthony Gordon and Lewis Hall stood over the free kick. England internationals, both wearing the short sleeves, attacking the Leesy's end. Alexander Isak, his 34th minute deflected strike so far, giving Newcastle a 1-goal advantage. With the last kick of the half, can they potentially double that? Gordon moves away. Hall swings it in, deflects. Tonali deflects again, and almost similar to Isak's strike, and that is the last bit of action of an absorbing first 45 minutes plus stoppage time. Newcastle 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Alexander Isak, his 16th goal of the season, his 8th consecutive goal here in the Premier League, came in the 34th minute. A counter, he drove inwards, centre on, saw a strike deflect off João Gomez. I'm alongside former Premier League midfielder and Wales international Dave Edwards. For what we saw, Dave, 1-0, a fair scoreline.
Absolutely, Newcastle deserved the lead, but it's been an intriguing game, it really has. Counter-attacking football from both teams. Newcastle have had the better of it, they've had more chances. Jose Sar's made some good saves. There's been enough moments in there from a Wolves persuasion that will keep them interested. They've got in behind this Newcastle defence on 2 or 3 occasions, got good balls into the box and missed 2 good chances, one for Guedes and Larson, who hit the post at the end. So Eddie Howe, be aware of that. Wolves have Mateus Cunha on the bench, you're expecting to see. So at 1-0, it's still a finely poised game.
So as it stands, that Isak strike sees Eddie Howe's men climbing into 4th position in the Premier League table. Obviously still the second half to come. You do have your choice of listening across the BBC Sport website and BBC Sounds, where you can currently find first half commentary of the North London derby, where it's Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. We'll be back for second half commentary in just over 10 minutes time.
Washington Athletic, Cleveland Celtic,
There we go, mate.
and Magpies Community Trust for 3 shows on this People Watching tour, and you can get hospitality tickets, which are still on sale, at book.newcastleunited.com. That's book.newcastleunited.com. Sam Bender, back here at St James's Park this June. Sponsor of tonight's game, Paul Bertram Painting and Decorating Services. And the mascots, starting with our home mascots tonight, it's George, Hannah, Jake, Leo, and Sam. And our away mascot tonight here at St James's Park is Daniel.
No, they're not. Son, so we win.
Thank you very much for being here tonight at the game. The official attendance here at St James's Park tonight is 51,975.
And as I speak, I can see the name of Bruno Guimaraes, number 39, the first Newcastle player out. And it is Eddie Howe's side who are a goal up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. This is Tom Gale alongside former Premier League midfielder Dave Edwards. Dave, you've already got an early glance at the tactical change, or well, certainly positional changes Wolves will make. Mateus Cunha is stripped and readied. Is that the most obvious of substitutions to get themselves, at least try and get themselves back into this game?
Absolutely. My only concern would have been if Mateus Cunha's not 100% fit and can he get through 45 minutes. He's coming on. He'll come on for Wang by the looks of it. Wang had a tough opening 45 minutes, was involved in some of Wolves' best moves, but he was going to give the ball away in the build-up to that Newcastle goal. But this is a game tailor-made for Mateus Cunha. The way it's set up, the way there's going to be space for Wolves to try and exploit. And if they can get him the ball, there is no doubt that he can deliver some magic.
Confirmation that it is Cunha who replaces Hwang. So once we get underway for the second half, I'll run you through the teams in full, but Newcastle will be unchanged from their starting lineup, which you can see if you are, of course, listening on the BBC Sport website. And while you are listening to us, you can scroll through all the lineups, the stats, the advanced stats as well. And you'll also see that there has been a goal elsewhere. Down in North London, the latest is Arsenal 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1, which of course for Newcastle United is an even better evening than it currently stands. And it is Alexander Isak, the goal scorer, who gets us underway in this second half, with Newcastle United kicking towards the Gallowgate ends. They are playing 4-3-3. Birthday boy, 36 today, Martin Dubravka in goal. Back four, Livramento, Byrne, Botman, Hall. Midfield, Guimaraes, Tonali, Joe Linton. Front three of Murphy and Gordon, and Isak through the middle, and it was his goal in the 34th minute deflected strike, which currently separates the two sides. As for visiting Wolverhampton Wanderers, only goal difference currently keeping them out of the bottom three. Jose Sarr in goal, a back three of the captain Matt Doherty, Emmanuel Egbadu, who's impressed on his Premier League debut. Santiago Bueno. Midfield, Rodrigo Gomez, Andre, João Gomez and Ait-Nouri. And the front three, Gonzalo Guedes, Jurgen Strand-Larsen, and the substitute Matheus Cunha on for Hwang Hee-chan. An early foul by Doherty on Anthony Gordon, who looks okay. He's helped back to his feet. And I guess from a Newcastle perspective, Dave, they'll just want to put the foot down again, and they'll want a cushion of another goal, because it doesn't seem as though this is a one-goal type of game.
No, there'll be more goals, I'm sure of it, and I think that Eddie Howe will be desperate to try and get that second goal as soon as possible, just to try and dampen any Wolves' expectations, because like I said, Matheus Cunha on the pitch, they're a completely different outfit. They had opportunities in that first half which they didn't capitalise on, and you'll know they get chances as it goes later into the game.
Hall dribbles forward after receiving the free kick from Tonali. Gordon wide left sends in a really nice ball, but it was just too close to Jose Sarr, who underarm rolls straight to Matheus Cunha. He has an early touch and he fends off Botman. Full of running, the Brazilian, and it's Wolves coming down this left hand side. Another Brazilian to throw into the Samba vibes that have been permeating throughout the northeast air here tonight. We've seen a double nutmeg from Andre. Guedes tried the cut back, lost his momentum, straight into Joe Linton. And here's Anthony Gordon, wide left, not much on in front of him, goes down the line looking for Isak, and Sarr's a long way off his line, but good positioning. Sends the ball straight into Strand-Larsen, who chests it down, plays it into Cunha. Striker's on, is it? No, it is now, he goes for it, and it's the first save of the night for Martin Dubravka. Straight at him, but a clear sign of intent from Matheus Cunha.
Yeah, straight away. Before that, Matheus Cunha is the first person who's really been able to show any strength on Botman. He knocked him to the ground in a first attack, but on the second attack he gets on the edge of the box and forces a save from Dubravka.
At the other end, wide left, Anthony Gordon up against Rodrigo Gomez, deflects off the young Portuguese, and Agbadu tries to head it clear, not much distance on it, and not a clean connection from Strand-Larsen. And it's comfortable for Newcastle, who are again attacking. Home fans finding their voice. 51,000 inside St James's Park, currently watching their side on course for a sixth consecutive Premier League victory, and Jose Sarr is going to see play stopped here. Clear signal to the referee that he needs some treatment, so I'm not sure what happened there. And I've just seen another goal go in elsewhere. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1. Ollie Watkins in the 51st minute. So that's live for you right now, also on the BBC Sport website. And if you want to use BBC Sounds, that's on 5 Sports Extra. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1, Ollie Watkins. And a reminder, the BBC provides more commentaries than anyone else when it comes to radio coverage of the Premier League. Tomorrow night, BBC Sounds and 5 Live, 8 p.m. kickoff, Manchester United against Southampton. 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds, 7:45 kickoff is Ipswich and Brighton. Dave alongside me has got vested interest in that as regards to how that one plays out. Then Saturday, the 3 p.m. kickoff, fastest goal service around with Ian Dennis. He's at Brentford. They're taking on Liverpool. 5:30, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and then through into Sunday. We've got all the commentaries starting at 2 p.m. Manchester United, Brighton, that's on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. 5 Sports Extra has Everton, Tottenham, and then on the BBC Sport website, Nottingham Forest, Southampton, and then 5 Live BBC Sounds for the 4:30 kickoff is Ipswich against Manchester City. By the time I've given you all that information, Jose Sarr, I was about to say, has got back to his feet, but he's now crouching down in a more of the fetal position, just perhaps loosening maybe a groin or a thigh or a hamstring, and that's a concern, because he's been pretty much excellent this evening, has to be said, Dave.
Yeah, his handling's been very good. He's come and got quite a few crosses. He's made a few stops from shots as well. Wrong-footed for the goal completely, had no chance of it, but he's been in excellent form since Vitor Pereira's come into the club and reinstalled him as number 1.
Sam Johnston did the customary I'll look as though I'm warming up, and now heads back to his warmth on the bench. Newcastle 1-0 up, 5 minutes into the second half. Botman goes crossfield looking for Joe Linton, who chests it down a good 8 foot in the air. Such was the leap of the Brazilian. Guimarães, Hall playing it around, beating the press. This is lovely stuff from Eddie Howe's team. Isak brings Newcastle over the halfway line, goes out wide right to Jacob Murphy, has to reset, not the intended pass, comes to Guimaraes, crowd want him to shoot, lays it off to Gordon, and I think it took a deflection off Matt Doherty and goes behind for a corner.
Yeah, it was Matt Doherty who was a little bit loose in possession after a wonderful break from Newcastle. They kept the ball so well in their own half, calm under pressure, then all of a sudden there was a pass beyond the Wolves midfield, then they broke quickly with Isak, and the ball finds its way to left hand side the box with Anthony Gordon looking to bend the ball into the far post, but Santi Bueno it was who comes across out of nowhere, gets an excellent block, and that takes it over the bar, and Wolves were let off.
First corner of the second half. Newcastle right-footed in swing in front of the Gallowgate end. Jacob Murphy goes short to Isak, gets it back, thought about the cross, it comes in from Hall, a deep one. Joe Linton will keep that in play, back across goal, off Doherty, cries of handball from the supporters. It will be a goal kick, of course. VAR will have a look at it. Joe Linton doesn't seem to be protesting much. Let's have a look at the replay though.
Yeah, it was well worked by Newcastle, short corner. They flip it to the back post where Joel Linton's free. He tries to head it back across the 6-yard box. It does catch Matt Doherty, but he doesn't know anything about it. It's not a penalty, but it's another corner for Newcastle.
In quick succession from the opposite side now. On far right, Lewis Hall, left-footed in swinger. This one does go direct. It's another deep one. Botman's peeled off, looked to cushion the header into Murphy. Doesn't find its destined target, and here comes Gonzalo Guedes. Needs support though, he's all alone, wide left, midway into the Newcastle half, runs into traffic, gobbled up, and Tonali comes away with the ball. Tonali past Cunha, straight into Aït-Nouri, who fouls him.
Once again, you've got to marvel at the intensity that Newcastle are playing at. Wolves break away with an excellent pass from Rodrigo Gomez into the path of Gonzalo Guedes. She breaks over the halfway line, but within a matter of 3-4 seconds, black and white shirts are swarming back, and by the time they win the ball back, every one of Newcastle's players are in their own half, barring Alexander Isak. It's phenomenal intensity to the way they win the ball back.
It's beginning to liven up across the BBC Sport website and app for your choice of commentary. Latest scores. It still is Everton 0, Villa 1. Goals elsewhere. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1. Dominic Solanke own goal for Arsenal. And Jean-Philippe Mateta has put Crystal Palace ahead away at Leicester, which Wolves fans will be delighted to hear that Leicester, as it stands, will be remaining 2 points adrift of safety. Will it be a 6th consecutive loss for Ruud van Nistelrooy? You can listen to that on the BBC Sport website. But here right now, Tom Gale alongside Dave Edwards, we are overlooking Bruno Guimaraes. A free kick for Newcastle, 5 yards in from the halfway line, floats it into the sky, looking for Botman, challenging, Doherty gets his forehead to it, Guedes is up and under clearance, no distance on it, Guimaraes is headed back towards Dan Burn, Agbadou with a karate kick clearance, Aït-Nouri will challenge with Livramento, Aït-Nouri gets there first, but Guimaraes gets there to follow through and lashes it into the stands.
Yeah, nothing come from that Newcastle free kick, a bit of head tennis in the middle of the pitch. Wolves will be happy that they haven't really given Newcastle any too big chances early on in this second half, just trying to navigate their way back into this game. The longer it goes for Wolves, the better.
2 quick goals for Arsenal. They now lead the North London derby, approaching half-time. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. Rodrigo Gomez finds Guedes right hand side of the penalty area, has a quick look, cuts it back to Rodrigo Gomez. Poor touch. It was actually, I'm not sure it was the best ball, but he was unable to take it into his stride, and in a matter of seconds Newcastle are going down the other end. Isak goes the long way around Hugo Bueno, looks to try and nutmeg the Uruguayan defender, and I think he's a bit fortunate there, the defender, not for his positioning but to get the decision of a throw, which Matt Doherty will take.
Yeah, the movement from Alexander Isak was excellent though. He did a double movement, went to the right, back to the left. He really spanned Santi Bueno around as he got himself into that left channel, but the Uruguayan got back in, got a clearance in and wanted to see the throw in.
Leandro Trossard, he's the man with the goal for Arsenal, who have come from behind to lead Tottenham in the North London derby. That one approaching half-time. A reminder, match of the day this evening, 10:40. Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, Micah Richards taking you through all of Tuesday and Wednesday night's action, which currently, right here for us, Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. It's Everton 0, Aston Villa 1, Leicester 0, Crystal Palace 1, and Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. Strand Larsen's flick on. Doesn't connect with a teammate, and space for Tino Livramento to attack and build up speed down this right hand side. Gets it back from Jacob Murphy. Ball was behind him. He did really well to take it back into his dribble and gets a throw, not even a yard in from the corner flag. Quickly taken to Murphy. Murphy into Guimaraes. Creates space. Picks out Isak on the penalty spot. Unmarked. Doubles Newcastle's advantage. The Wolves line parted. They left the most dangerous man in football open. He didn't need a second invitation. 11 minutes into the second half. Newcastle 2, Wolves 0.
Newcastle double their lead, and Alexander Isak, with so much space in the heart of that Wolves defence. It's worked from the right hand side, and then it's Bruno Guimaraes who picks up the ball. Clever pass into the path of Alexander Isak, who's only 12 yards out, centre of the goal. Wolves' line doesn't get out quick enough. The Santi Bueno and Agbadu are playing him onside. He receives it, he's very calm, back to goal, shifts it onto his right foot, sends Jose Sarr the wrong way, calmly finishes it into the bottom left corner. Terrific finish from a man in sizzling hot form.
Well, we did say that Newcastle would push for a second. Not that this game's far from done, but the task has got even greater for Vitor Pereira, who's been very demanding on the touchline, asking for more from all of those out in goals. But you can hear St James's Park in full voice. That's the sound of Newcastle United moving up into 4th in the Premier League. And Alexander Isak is on course for a second hat-trick of the season.
Yeah, it's an excellent finish by him, it really was. So calm and cool and calculated when it really mattered. But Wolves will be alarmed at how much space he had in the middle of the box.
It was one of those where on the replays everyone's got their arms out asking who should be marking him. No one took responsibility, which will further infuriate Vitor Pereira, who after a really positive start is currently looking at back-to-back defeats in the Premier League, and it is a very difficult January into February for Wolverhampton Wanderers when you're looking at where those next points can come from. As is the cliche goes, Dave, they surely have to score the next goal to get anything here tonight.
Yeah, the third goal's in, they are dead and buried at 2-0. If they can get the next one, it'll cause a little bit of panic within the Newcastle ranks, but at the moment it's just about consolidating, trying to get through the next 10-15 minutes without conceding another goal, try and take it into that final 15 minutes still in the game. But 3-0, absolutely game over.
Newcastle pressing Wolves in the left back position, forcing the error. Tino Livramento earns the throw into Isak. A goal in each half from the Swedes. Been a lively few minutes across the Premier League, goals flying in. Most importantly, from a Newcastle perspective, they have a second. João Gomez crosses the halfway line for Wolves. Aït-Nour is keeping pace. He's one-on-one with Tino Livramento, left-hand side, cuts inside the Algerian, looking for movements. Not much in front of him, so he has to come square to Andre, who's now over the right-hand side to Rodrigo Gomez. It's now in the right-back position, but in the opposition half is Matt Doherty, the Wolves captain. Pace has slowed. Newcastle will be happy with this. Bueno. Agbadu works its way across the Wolves back line, and there's the mistake. Livramento capitalises on it, looking to play in. Isak down the middle, cushioned header into the path of Murphy. Good first touch, crowd wanting to shoot. Is he brought down? Referee clearly both hands to either side say no foul. Dave's trying to come in here, but it's like a basketball game that we're playing, because anytime one has an attack at the opposite end, it's now Wolves moving forward. Gonzalo Guedes has got Rodrigo Gomez for support. Andre Space for Joao Gomez, 35 yards out, centre on, rolls it to the left, Ait-Nouri. Newcastle keeping Wolves at arm's length here. Space though for Guedes. Touch lets him down though, unable to bring the lofted pass down, and it goes out for a goal kick. Dave, you can finally say something.
that was desperately poor though from Wolves in that attack. They had numbers over for the first time that Newcastle couldn't get back into their shape, and Joao Gomez lifts the ball out to that right hand side to Gonzalo Guedes, whose touch just lets him down. The attack's gone. But at the other end, Newcastle again, when they attack with such precision. Excellent ball from Tino Livramento from the halfway line into Alexander Isak's pass. He heads it down to Jacob Murphy, who's run into the box, but the Wolves' new sign Agbadou, too strong for him, nudges him over. There's calls for a penalty.
Cunha crosses in, looking for Strand Larsen. It's Byrne who intercepts. Andre can't bring it down on the edge of the box. He does play it off to Cunha, who gets the strike away. It's another tame effort, but Mateus Cunha is really proving to be the go-to man, as we would expect for Wolves when it looks to be trying to find a way back into this. He's just not quite got the clean enough connection on that one, Dave.
No, it came out to him on the edge of the box, and he wanted to volley it first time, allowed it to bounce, and never quite got the correct connection right after that.
Isak sets Murphy free, who sends in a good ball. Gordon was at the back post. It nearly needed someone attacking the front post in order to capitalise on that, but in seconds once again it's end-to-end stuff here. Wolves, straight from the release of Jose Sarr, are up the other end trying to get this next goal. Newcastle United 4 clean sheets in the last 5 Premier League games. Mateus Cunha goes down trying to get through the middle of Guimarães and Livramento. He's convinced it's a penalty. Referee Darren England waves it away. The Brazilian's got a lot to say. How did you view that one, Dave?
Yeah, it was definitely clumsy, wasn't it? Mateus Cunha receives the ball in a pocket of space, turns extremely well, drives into the box. There's Livramento and Botman around him. He overruns it slightly, and it just allows Livramento to come. He doesn't get the ball. He does collide with Cunha, but not enough in there for that penalty.
Graham Scott and Steve Meredith on VAR duties in Stockley Park. So we are just over an hour played. Half time in North London. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. Remember, your choice of listening across the BBC Sport website and app. Take us with you if you need to be heading out. And also on 5 Live, they're doing commentary of the North London derby. Sports Extra, they're also in the second half. 7:30 kickoff, just like ourselves, where it is Everton 0, Aston Villa 1. Isak, left hand side of the penalty area, does a 180 turn and faces back 360 towards goal. Tonali, Guimarães has space to dig out from his feet, goes for the strike, but never really convinced. It went over Jose Sarr's crossbar, but very comfortable.
Yeah, Newcastle working the ball from left to right, and they had an overload, and it was in Bruno Guimarães, who's just waiting just to the right side, central of the box, gets it onto that right foot. He's trying to reverse it back across his body up into that top left corner, gets underneath it too much, and it harmlessly goes over that Wolves bar.
Wolves go short with a goal kick. Bueno rolls it square to the right hand side of the penalty area to Sarr, who goes down the right hand channel looking for Rodrigo Gomez. Calls there. Wolves did have possession back, but Guedes unable to link up with Rodrigo Gomez. We're inside almost the final 25 minutes of normal time. Newcastle on course for a 6th Premier League victory, 9 in all competitions. But Wolves are not rolling over here. Cunha, he's got goal side of Botman. He's in, tight angle. Well, the jeers will tell you that he was unable to burst the back of the net, but I think that was actually pretty close there. Right hand side of the penalty area, held off Botman, got the shot away, but it's still Newcastle 2, Wolves 0.
Yeah, he's looked so dangerous. He's only been on the pitch 20 minutes, Mateus Cunha, but everything Wolves have done well in this second half, it's come from that man there. Good interlinking play as they played on the counter-attack, goes into Strand Larsen, he helps it round the corner, and Cunha's away, and he's too fast for Botman, drives into the right hand side of the box, the angle's always narrow, and he goes for power, and he goes left of Dubravka's post, but he is the lively sparking. You see Newcastle worried when he picks the ball up.
Well, clearly one Wolves substitute making an impact, and Jean-Ric Bellegarde has just got the signal to return back to the bench and get stripped off, and I can also see Nelson Semedo also being readied as well. So Vitor Pereira trying to change things up, tweak things here and there, and somehow find their way back into this match. Once again, Sandro Ole Ole has been wrung out by the home support. Gordon into Isak, edge of the penalty area, holds off two Wolves defenders, right hand side now. Murphy sends in the cross for Joe Linton, who looked to side foot cushion it. It was blocked by Wolves, and Strand Larsen's dispossessed. Guimaraes looking for Isak, rolls it to Joe Linton. Good feet. Isak, can he bring it under control? No, he can't. It's now Wolves who come away with the ball. Tonali trying to close down Guedes. Not much on, goes down the line and can only find Dan Burn.
Yeah, Newcastle trying to work an opening on the edge of the box. Wolves have plenty of bodies back. They're trying to be very precise with their passing. But Wolves do eventually win the tackle. They break on the right hand side, but once again Newcastle are getting bodies back in. Wolves have nowhere to go, and they pick up the ball on the halfway line, and they're recycling it very well at the moment.
Joe Linton midway into the Wolves half, rides one challenge, comes out to the right to find Murphy. Has Livramento as an option. Livramento's ball in, cut out by Bueno at the expense of a corner.
And once again it's this right hand side for Newcastle. Jacob Murphy and Tilly Livramento having lots of joy, finds themselves 2v1 against Rain Aït-Nouri far too often from Wolves' point of view, and it's this time Murphy who lays it to the byline for Livramento, flashes it across the face of the goal, but Santi Bueno, the heart of that Wolves back three, is in a good position and he knocks it out for a corner.
Wolves thought about the substitution prior to the corner but changed their mind, so it is Lewis Hall in front of the Gallowgate end, left footed, deep, looking for Botman, who gets there but can't plant the header on target. Wolves goal kick, and they will be able to make this double change.
Yeah, another deep corner. It's something they work on. They get Jose Sota blocked in, he can't come for it. They win the first contact, Newcastle, but harmlessly flies up in the air and out for a goal kick.
To be replaced by number 22, Nelson Semedo.
So the first change sees Nelson Semedo return after a 2-game absence due to injury. Like for like swap with Rodrigo Gomez, and the armband had been passed to Cunha, who then in turn passes it on to Nelson Semedo, and it was Guedes, the other man, to make way for Jean-Ric Bellegarde. So 3 changes made by Vitor Pereira. Eddie Howe yet to look to his bench. Agbadou in the left back position. Cruyff turn to try and get away from Jacob Murphy, plays a good ball down the line to Aït-Nouri, but for once his control lets him down. It's now at the feet of Martin Dubravka. Still without a serious save of note to make, Martin Dubravka, but Wolves win the ball high up. Mateus Cunha looking for options. João Gomez, left hand side of the penalty area, slips, regains his footing, still in possession. Doherty, it's now over the right hand side, first touch for Semedo. Not really the intensity to try and cut through this Newcastle defence just yet being shown by Wolverhampton Wanderers. Doherty looking to switch play, spots Aït-Nouri, pass isn't the best, Livramento gets there first but hooks it back into the centre, and Wolves do get back possession. It is now with its originally intended target, Aït-Nouri on the left hand side. He again comes in field. João Gomez, Rick Bellegarde, Andre, Agbadou. Newcastle will be happy with this. Wolves go over the top. It does make its way through to Strand Larsen. He can't lay it off to Aït-Nouri, but Livramento gives it straight to the Algerian international, trying to find Cunha. Andre 30 yards out. Bellegarde, Semedo, right hand side, can he get a cross in? No, he cuts it back to Bellegarde, who's closed down by Gordon. Still Wolves yet to swing the ball in. Semedo thought about the strike, goes for it, and it's a comfortable save down to his left by Martin Dubravka.
Wolves' best spell of the second half, though. They kept it for a decent spell there, working it across the face of Newcastle's 18-yard box, goes onto that right hand side. Bedegaard maybe took one or two too many touches, gets it to Semedo. Newcastle have so many bodies back, they push him inside onto his left foot. He has a bit of a hopeful shot and it's easy for Dubravka.
Livramento working both ends, and Agbadou goes in, high foot, but he did cleanly take the ball. No complaints from Tino Livramento. He'll settle for the throw 5 yards from the corner flag. Newcastle 2, Wolves 0 inside the final 19 minutes of normal time. Livramento's throw to Guimaraes. Livramento being pressed by Andre, holds off the Brazilian, gets the cross in. Wrong foot Isak, it was behind him. Nice layoff from Cunha into Strand Larsen. Cunha's up and running. Botman, did he stop that with his arm? He gets there to recover, to slide in ahead of Cunha. Byrne keeps it in play. It's now back with Dubravka in his 18-yard box.
Yeah, once again, though, Vitor Pereira and his Portuguese team are furious with Darren England. Larsen picks up the ball in the halfway line, tries to release Cunha down the left-hand side, and it hits Botman's arm, and it stops the attack, and the referee didn't give it, and that's why Wolves are frustrated. They saw that as a moment. Anytime they got Mateus Cunha running with the ball, they see it as a huge opportunity for them. And if they are going to break the deadlock, it is going to be that man, you would think.
Aït-Nouri. Inside to João Gomez. Agbadou plays a good ball out wide to Aït-Nouri, drags Livramento with him. Strand Larsen's making movements. Ball's yet to find the tall striker though, who himself had arguably Wolves' best opportunity of the game, hitting the post with the score at 1-0 in the first half. Sarr's clearance deflects off the back of Bueno. Poor ball from Murphy. Doherty intercepts. Semedo skips away from Hall. Cute play from the experienced fullback. Comes infield to Cunha, who rolls away from Byrne. Bearing down on the 18-yard box. Goes for goal! And it looked as though he was just inches away from pulling one back.
Fabulous football from Wolves, it really was. Started on the right-hand side with Matt Doherty breaking from defence. Gives the ball to Semedo. He evades a tackle from Lewis Hall. Keeps going forward. Clever ball inside to Mateus Cunha, and it's that man. I said he's going to be the one who's going to get something for Wolves if they are going to get a goal. Drives towards the edge of the box. Newcastle are backing off. He unleashes a venomous shot of his left foot, but just the wrong side of Martin Dubravka's left hand post.
Joe Linton, can he slip in Isak? He can. Isak, right hand side of the penalty area, looking for the hat trick. He was trying to square it. Recovers, still going, approaching the 6-yard box to Gordon! Well, if he's not scoring, he's creating. And for the first time in his professional career, Anthony Gordon scores in 4 consecutive matches. I think this one is now just done and dusted. We're approaching the 75th minute, and it is Newcastle 3, Wolves 0.
Yep, game over. Wolves' best spell of the game. They were creating opportunities, but Newcastle have attacked so well for the whole game. And Joel Linton picks up the ball midway through the Wolves half, gives it to Isak. He bears down on Jose Sarr's goal, but it's a well blocked shot from Matt Doherty, but it comes back to Isak. He composed himself. He's on that right hand side of the box, pulls it back inside, and Gordon eludes the Wolves defence and just pirouettes around the penalty spot and drags it with his right foot back across Jose Sarr into the bottom corner.
I think it's slowly filtering around the stadium. I think there's going to be a VAR check. Potential offside in the build-up to Alexander Isak. It was Joe Linton who slipped the Swede in behind. Gordon's goals are a couple of phases after that, but there's no question as regards to Alexander Isak's involvement in that. So it's a case of drawing out the lines here, Dave, as we look at our replay screen, and it's got whether or not Hugo Bueno is playing on.
Very tight, isn't it? Very tight. They have to have a good look at this. Santi Bueno's arm is probably definitely playing Isak on, but that doesn't count. So as they draw the lines on from the part of the body which matters, and it's all about the position of Isak's right boot.
Anthony Gordon just putting a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I think that's in reference to the substitutes. I think he might be one of those who's looked to be rested with still quarter of an hour played. Still 2-0. The goal has not... It's actually, sorry, still 3-0. The goal is yet to be chalked off. Obviously, they are reviewing Graham Scott and Steve Meredith. In the meantime, Joe Willock and Miguel Almiron are going through their last stretches before coming in. And the verdict is onside. The stadium don't know it, but it's telling us on the monitor. The TV pictures confirm it is a goal. We're just waiting for Darren England to tell 51,000 people. There we go. The firm point to the spot. Anthony Gordon does have his goal, his 8th of the season, scoring in all competitions, League Cup, FA Cup and Premier League, and that is actually his last contribution. A double change sees Anthony Gordon and Jacob Murphy being replaced by Miguel Almiron and Joe Willock, and I can actually see Will Asula also being readied. So the Newcastle goal scorers, 2 for Alexander Isak, so no hat-trick for the Swedes. The final few minutes are going to be seen out by Will Asula.
The front three have been excellent all evening. They've caused Wolves so many problems with their pace, the intellectual nature of their movement being fantastic, and the noise inside St James's to applaud those 3 players off the pitch was magnificent.
So as we approach the final 10 minutes, there will be stoppage time. There's a lengthy VAR check there before that 3rd goal was confirmed, but it's Newcastle 3, Wolves 0. And if it's any consolation, it's further good news for Wolves supporters out of the East Midlands. Leicester 0, Crystal Palace 2. Mark Gahey with a second for the away sides. They kicked off at 7:30, so similar timings to ourselves. They're approaching the final 10 minutes. It's with Botman inside his own penalty area into Joe Linton. His layoff straight to Joao Gomez. Belly guard, so he sees his shot deflect off the back of Dan Burn for a Wolves corner.
Full of confidence, and Joe Linton just tries to flick in the middle of the park, doesn't come off, finds its way to Jean-Ric Nabalagardi's just outside the box, central, goes for power, and it catches a Newcastle defender and harmlessly goes over the bar.
Cunha to take in front of the Leesy's ends. It's going to be right-footed from the Brazilian. In towards the near post, Strand Lawson's, no! It's actually Santiago Bueno who stabs home 3 yards out. Wolves have got one back. No clean sheet for Eddie Howe this evening. With 10 minutes just over of normal time remaining. Newcastle 3, Wolves 1.
Lifeline for Wolves. Set at 3-0, it was game over, but if they were going to get back into it, they had to do it quickly, and they've done that. Excellent ball into the box from the left-hand side off the corner, whipped into that front post area. Newcastle can't get ahead to it, and it just falls at the feet really of Santiago Bueno. Dubravka can't get to it. He flicks at it with the outside of his right foot. He's only a yard or 2 out. The ball comes over Livramento's head. Dan Burn can't get to it. Inadvertently just drops next to Santiago Bueno, and he flicks it in. And Wolves look like they're back in it, although...
Well, again, yes. The pause in your voice. VAR checking for a possible handball. So does Santiago Bueno control the ball with his hand? So the corner's flung in. There's lots of bodies. It's very little reaction time, but it does clearly connect with the Uruguayan's arm before he then stabs it home with his right boot. And the decision is handball. So it is, at the moment, still a clean sheet for Martin Dubravka. No goal, handball, Newcastle 3, Wolves 0.
I don't think it's going to be Wolves' evening at all. I don't think he meant to handball it, but the rules are the rules.
I think of all the, and people will say the lack of consistency we've seen, every time with VAR and a goal scored and a hand is involved, it is pretty much chalked off.
Yeah, whether you mean it or not, the goal will be ruled out. I say Wolves needed a quick goal to stand any sort of chance, but it hasn't been their night. They've had opportunities, they've had 3 or 4 really good ones, haven't been able to take advantage of them, whereas Newcastle have been clinical at the other end.
So Santi Bueno denied a first ever goal in English football, second season at Wolverhampton Wanderers, and that might have just made things interesting. Newcastle, a very solid back line. As we know, they score goals for fun, maintaining their average across 6 Premier League games of scoring 3 goals a game. It's really impressive form heading into, well, we are over the halfway point in the season. Cunha wins a free kick. He's not given up all hope. And his frustration will grow because there is going to be a further pause as Newcastle make their 4th change of the evening. Joe Linton gets a standing ovation from all those who are able to get to their feet here from a home persuasion at St James's Park, and he's going to be replaced by the 18-year-old Lewis Miley, also someone who was a long-term injury absence. They are definitely treating him with kit and gloves, just working his way back to full fitness. Wolves are in behind here. Aït-Nouri plays it across for Strand Larsen. Oh, what a save from Dubravka! 7 yards out, gets some contact on it. It comes off the frame of his goal. Well, he has been by far a bystander for the majority of this game, but when it counts, once again, Martin Dubravka comes up big.
This was a huge opportunity for Wolves. Rayan Aït-Nouri finds himself free down the left-hand side and puts an excellent delivery right into Jorgen Strand Larsen's path, and he's only 6 yards out. Dubravka spreads himself, gets an unbelievable touch on it, which takes it onto his own bar. Strand Larsen should score, has to score, but Dubravka, excellent.
I think you can look at this on the scoreline and say, yeah, Newcastle 3, Wolves 0. Pretty straightforward, routine evening for Eddie Howe. Far from it. Wolves have had their opportunities. Make sure you tune in. BBC One, Match of the Day, 10:40 this evening. Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards will be taking you through Tuesday and Wednesday night's action, which, barring some miraculous collapse, will see Newcastle move into 4th position in the Premier League table. Wolves are still trying to get themselves on the score sheet. Semedo now the latest to get in behind. Tidied up by Byrne. Miscue from Willock. Eventually tidied up, and it's Miley in the left back position with Byrne. And to Hall. They don't want to go long. They're happy to pass it between themselves here, Wolves. They go down the line looking for Willock, but Doherty's too experienced for the body swerve. Keeps possession for Wolves. Jean-Ric Nabellegard unable, though, to retain it. Tonali. Is he going to put his foot through it? No, he stands up an attempted clearance towards Asula, who's having his shirt pulled, clearly. Free kick, Newcastle United. And it's a yellow card, a first yellow card in English football for Emmanuel Agbadou for delaying the restart. Threw the ball away.
Don't think it'll be his last either. The physical nature of his play.
And we're not done with the changes. Tino Livramento withdrawn in the closing stages, and it's Kieran Trippier. And Wolves will complete their changes in personnel.
Substitution for Wolves coming off. Number
Pablo Sarabia comes on for his 50th Premier League appearance. And also Tommy Doyle being brought in. And off goes the 2 Brazilian midfielders, Andre and João Gomes. So no doubt both managers with an eye on the weekend's games. It's an early kick-off here, 12:30 on Saturday for Newcastle. Eddie Howe up against his former side, Bournemouth. As for Wolves, they, if you can call it rest at this time of the year, they'll have to wait until Monday, but they're away at Chelsea as their tricky start to 2025 continues. If you went with us earlier, I remember saying 7 of the top 8, the current top 8 Wolves play to start off 2025. Strand Larsen, is he in? No. Dubravka slides out, smothers. Thought about the quick release, but he'll take his time.
Yeah, excellent starting position from Dubravka, because the Wolves once again had another chance. Fast ball from Nelson Semedo into the substitute Sarabia. He's 30 yards from goal. Clever little reverse pass into the path of Larsen, but as he gets into his stride, Dubravka's already there at his feet, wins the ball.
Miley picks the ball up on the halfway line. Tonali stayed down. Looks in quite a bit of discomfort, the Italian, and referee Darren England does opt to pause play, so he'll be able to receive treatment. So I can run you through the latest scores. So we are in the 87th minute here, so similar territory for Crystal Palace, who are 2-0 up away at Leicester, and it's also on course for an away win. Aston Villa 1-0 up on David Moyes' return as Everton manager at Goodison Park. And in the North London derby, second half is 10-11 minutes old. Arsenal coming from behind. All the goals scored so far in the first half. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. Tonali has recovered. He's going to be okay to see out this game. And we're going to get back underway with a drop ball, an uncontested drop ball, as Lewis Hall plays it back to Byrne, who lays it off to Botman. Lots of positives for Eddie Howe. Obviously Alexander Isak continuing his rich vein of form. Likewise Anthony Gordon. Sven Botman establishing himself in that back line. We're yet to hear the reasons why Fabian Schär's not part of the matchday squad as well. So, as you know, fitness is always on a knife edge at the elite level, and it's Dan Byrne striding forward. Plays the ball over the top to Miggy Almiron, who's approaching the corner flag, recovers. Guimaraes back to Almiron, who took his eye off but was able to recover away from Agbadou. Crowd wanting to shoot. Hall, heel shoots, but no real power on it. And just to confirm, Fabian Schär not in the matchday squad due to illness, so no injury concerns, and hopefully a swift recovery. That's what Eddie Howe will be wishing, and he'll be back for Bournemouth here on Saturday. How good are this Newcastle outfit, Dave? Obviously you've watched from afar, but up close in person, is this a side that can be a top 4 come the end of the season from what you've seen?
Absolutely, yeah. Strength in depth as well, players to come back from injury. But seeing them live, this is the first time I've seen them live this season in person, and the view we've got here at St James's Park is excellent. We're very close to the pitch, and you just see the dynamism in the team. We know that Eddie Howe will work his players extremely hard in training. He demands the absolute most of them from a physical output, and when you watch it live in person, the physical fitness that these guys show, not only that, the pace they move at, is too much for some teams. We've seen it over numerous weeks now where they can run all over the opposition. It's been exactly the same today. They've physically far too superior for Wolves, like they have been for many other teams in this run.
Semedo bringing Wolves forward into fellow substitute Cunha. 360 turn, picks out Sarabia. He's dispossessed, unfairly so it will be a Wolves free kick, perhaps a bit too far out shooting range wise, 30-35 yards, centre on, but it would be a consolation as we're just 10 seconds away from finding out how much added time will be played here. And it's going to be quite substantial. A minimum of 8 minutes of stoppage time. A number of home supporters are already heading for the exits as I look up to the gods at the Leazy's end. There's a number of grey sections. Plenty of Wolves fans have seen enough. It's a long journey home. Easily 4 hours plus if you are commuting back to the West Midlands tonight. It's been competitive from their side, but I think, is it fair to say, Dave, in terms of that clinical cutting edge, Newcastle United just far superior.
Yeah, exactly that. Wolves have kept going. They've kept trying to make things happen. They've had numerous opportunities, but haven't been able to do it at the same rate of Newcastle. And then also that clinical edge which Newcastle have had in Isak, in Gordon, in Murphy, making things happen. They've been the better team.
Strand Larsen guilty of missing Wolves' best two chances. They work the free kick to Bellegarde, who crosses in deep towards Cunha. His header's cleared. Doyle closed down, and I think that does go out for a Wolves corner. So still giving up, still giving it all for the shirt, those visiting players. Is this going to be, hopefully in their eyes, just a bit of a blip? They've got a lot of tough fixtures to try and weather and get through. Away games here, then off to Stamford Bridge. Cunha's corner, which is cleared, but straight back to the Brazilian. Sends it back in low. Dubravka spills, and Santi Bueno had a goal chalked off. Is denied by the outstretched limbs of Sandro Tonali inside the own 6-yard box, and the assistant's flag off over the far side. It would have been disallowed, but
Dubravka not as confident as what he has been, as Cunha takes the corner, comes back to him, then he flashes another low ball right across the face of that Newcastle goal, and Dubravka is blinded a little bit by a Wolves player, sees it late and does enough just to get rid of it, but the flag goes up as Newcastle go into this final 6 minutes of added on time.
So in terms of those Wolves fixtures, a reference, so Chelsea on Monday away, home to Arsenal, home to Aston Villa, Blackburn away in the FA Cup, then it's Liverpool away and Bournemouth away.
Daunting, really is for Wolves.
They're a good side, but when you're putting that sort of calibre opposition in front of them, Dave, it is hard to see where a banker 3 points is going to come from.
Exactly that, and it happened at the start of the season. Obviously fixtures are repeating themselves, and they had that very hard run at the start of the season. They didn't pick up points, and whilst they're not expected to win the games or even pick up draws, when you don't go long periods without putting those points on the board, it does build pressure. So when those other games come along and you're playing the teams in the bottom half, in the Ranger, there's huge amounts of pressure on them. So Wolves be hopeful they can pick up some points in this tough run.
Doyle foul, trying to bring the ball forward for Wolverhampton Wanderers. We played 3 of the minimum 8. And of course Wolves' extra disadvantage is their unwanted goal difference. They have conceded now 48 Premier League goals in 21 games. So as Dave's rightfully pointed out, there's going to be some crucial telling fixtures at the back end of the season against sides in and around the relegation zone. Sometimes it's often viewed as an extra point, that any benefit in goal difference, which Wolves are going to have to score an awful lot of goals to try and recover. Aït-Nouri doing his best, left hand side of the penalty area, creates a bit of space, lays it off to Cunha. He's closed down, dispossessed by Miley, who pokes it in the direction of Willock, and Willock will keep that in play over the far side. Miley's continued his run, crowd wanting to play it down the line. It does find the academy products. Left hand side, cuts in field, picks out Willock again. The two substitutes combining. Willock, I'm not sure what he was trying to do there. Either way, it didn't come off, and Doherty comes away with the ball. Cunha has not stopped running. He's now left wing, trying to take on Botman, but he's been another impressive performer, especially given his lack of football over the past 12 months. Sven Botman, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, very strong. He's given Larsen hardly anything, and when Wolves have had to go back to front into Larsen, he hasn't been able to make it stick, and that's mainly because of the strength and the power of Sven Botman, who's been really close to him, made it difficult for his first touch.
Sarabia gets it back, shot straight at Martin Dubravka inside the 18-yard box. So again, Wolves have created, just unable to put away these chances. Just before you come in, Dave, full time at Goodison, Everton 0, Aston Villa 1 on that Sarabia chance.
Yeah, another excellent chance for Wolves. They've had enough chances to get the 3 goals they would need for a point, but they haven't been clinical enough, and this time a break down the right hand side. It's cut back to Sarabia. He's only 12 yards out, middle of the goal, on his favoured left foot, and just side foots it straight at Martin Dubravka. Big disappointment, and for Wolves, there's alarming similarities to the game against Nottingham Forest, where they've had big chances at big moments in the game. They weren't able to take them, and they conceded 3 goals. And like you said, 48 goals already conceded this season. That is not a good stat at all. That is a relegation stat, but you do feel for Wolves, if they can get scoring at the right times of games and control, then they have enough to pull themselves away. But at the moment, they're not getting the points on the board.
Well, thankfully for them, Leicester, they were the only side who could have climbed out of the bottom 3 this evening. Ipswich play Brighton tomorrow. They host Brighton, so goal difference as it stands is what's currently keeping Wolves out of the bottom 3. But Ipswich, with a point at least tomorrow night, would see Vitor Pereira's side fall into the bottom 3. Is the goal scoring done? Guimaraes strikes, it's blocked right hand side of the 6-yard box, and Aït-Nouri will look to dribble it away, but he can't shake off Sandro Tonali, who is here, there and everywhere, the Newcastle midfielder.
And like I said, that Newcastle midfield, there's so much energy, and Tonali has epitomised that. An excellent technician, we all know that, but the way Eddie Howe's got him working out of possession really is a joy to see, along with Bruno Guimaraes and obviously Joel Linton. Then you look at Lewis Miley, who's come onto the pitch. He's got the physical profile to be able to run and get around the pitch. He was terrific in the FA Cup win here at St James's Park at the weekends. So it's that strength in depth which all teams crave. Newcastle have it in a lot of their positions when they have them all fit.
So apologies to Wolves fans if I was giving you minuscule hope. You actually unfortunately are now, due to the 3 goals conceded, 3rd from bottom. So Wolves slipping back into the relegation zone. Their defensive woes continue. Vitor Pereira knew it was a big ask, and the fixture alone coming to an informed Newcastle. Agbadou battling with Asula fairly. Intense physical battle. He gets the plaudits from his head coach, who's able to nip in and whip the ball back to Jose Sarr. Cunha again leading the attacking line, brings it down edge of the box, waits for support from Sarabia. I don't think he got a touch. It does come through to Martin Dubravka, and we're far from going through the motions here, but Newcastle have pretty much accepted that they've done their part. They just want to keep this clean sheet intact, and they do. A 6th consecutive Premier League victory for Eddie Howe. 9 consecutive in all competitions sees them move up to 4th in the Premier League table. First off goal from Alexander Isak. He got another in the second before turning provider for Anthony Gordon. Wolves thought they'd made it interesting in the final 10 minutes. Santi Bueno denied a first ever goal for the club. Handball after stabbing home the corner. Vitor Pereira's side move into the bottom 3. Full time, Newcastle 5, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. I'm Tom Gale. I'll be alongside the former Premier League midfielder and Wales international Dave Edwards. Very impressive from Eddie Howe's team.
Excellent. You can see the confidence right from the very first whistle, the pace they attack with, the confidence in the players, the front 3 are excellent, the midfield 3 full of energy, full of quality. And you must say the central defensive pairing as well, Botman and Dan Burn, played well. But Newcastle trying to make it 10 consecutive wins at the weekend here, but they are the form team, deservedly moving their way up the table into those Champions League places. And at the moment they are unstoppable, because Wolves huffed and puffed. They had good chances, but on tonight's form they just didn't have the physicality to cope with those Newcastle runners.
What is it that could, if anything, derail Newcastle? It's obviously, you'll know how hard it is to sustain such form, but we know injuries and obviously the League Cup and other distractions and things like that, the January transfer window. I'm not assuming Newcastle hope they won't be doing any business, certainly in terms of outgoings, but how much longer can this purple patch be extended, can you see, based upon tonight's performance?
There's no reason why it should stop. Momentum is a massive thing in football, it really is, and when you're winning games you expect to win every upcoming game, and the same when you're losing. You find it hard to see where the next win's going to come from. But Newcastle, the only thing that's going to be difficult for them is prioritising the right competitions. They're in the semi-final of a League Cup, they're through to the next round, the FA Cup. They're going to want to win trophies. They can go deep in those competitions. Can they rotate the squad? and they can if they don't have injuries. But the way this Newcastle team play and the way I know they train is that you are going to be susceptible to picking up those little niggles, those little muscle injuries, because the demand on these players is so high. But when you see it work like you do this evening, you only can marvel at the physicality that they present. We all know they have the quality technicians like Bruno in the middle of the pitch, like Tonali, the front three, excellent. But when they can run as well, like they do, and cover ground and work hard for each other and win the ball back, break quickly, there's not many teams in the Premier League that will be able to deal with them.
So that's the Newcastle perspective, as their players understandably are remaining on the pitch and ensuring they go round all four corners of St James's Park to applaud the supporters. The Wolves fans have disappeared now, but Wolves did go over and salute those up in the gods at the Leazy's ends. 3-0 on surface looks a very disheartening scoreline, but what positives can you see from a Wolverhampton Wanderers perspective?
Well, it's very similar to their last Premier League outing, losing 3-0 against Nottingham Forest, and the positives are they create chances, and when you're down the bottom it's hard to see where goals come from. But for this Wolves team, you know they can score goals because they have excellent creativity in the team. You saw a big difference when Matheus Cunha came on at half time. They'll be hoping he's fit to start on Monday against Chelsea, but they just have to sort it out at the other end of the pitch. Conceded 48 goals this season, back-to-back 3-0 defeats. The Wolves fans thought that Vitor Pereira had come in and really shored them up, and you can see massive improvements. But if they don't take their chances at the right time and then let the opposition get the opportunities that they did, in particular the second goal which killed them off, Alexander Isak is on his own in the middle of the box. And the first goal he scores deflection, it can happen, but the second goal in particular, which was the killer goal, that took the pressure off Newcastle. They need to stop giving away chances like that to make sure their quality can show and they can pull away from that bottom three.
So that's the voice of Dave Edwards, who's been alongside me this evening, where it has finished Newcastle 3, Wolves 0. Confirm those other 7:30 kickoffs: Everton 0, Aston Villa 1, and Leicester 0, Crystal Palace 2. That concludes our coverage from St James's Park, but you can remind it, you can continue to listen to live Premier League football action. They're into the final quarter of an hour at the Emirates Stadium, where it is Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. You can listen to that on the BBC Sport website and app, on BBC Sounds or your traditional transistor radio. Just tune it in to BBC Radio 5 Live. I've been Tom Gale. Thank you very much for your company. It's finished here at St James's Park. Newcastle 3, Wolves 0.